As well as all the wonderful and important information collected about birds from the Breeding Bird Survey, our BBS surveyors have long been providing extra information alongside bird numbers. Habitat recording has been mandatory since 2014, and there are some optional recording choices too. Some of that is directly related to how birds are recorded to help with our modelling. In other cases, it is recording entirely different species groups altogether. Here are some of the ways you can take part in additional monitoring without much extra effort. Habitat recording will be covered in detail in a future video, but the general aim is to record the habitat for each 200 metres sector separately, and only for the 25 metres either side of your transect. In other words, in an imaginary rectangle which is 50 metres wide and 200 metres long. The habitat categories are provided on a separate sheet, and the minimum we ask for are levels 1 and 2. Habitat recording and classification can seem daunting to many, but the codes used here have been designed to be really simple. An example of a level 1 and 2 might be simply that it is woodland and broad-leaved, or farmland that is tilled land. And if you want to add more detail, then you can. You can record up to 2 habitat types. If there are any more, just choose the dominant habitats. Please also record any changes between early and late visits as well. If you have colonially nesting birds in your square, like martins or rooks, then we ask that you record the number of apparently occupied nests there are, not just in one colony, but the whole square. So if you have 2 separate rookeries in your square, we're looking for the total number of occupied nests across all colonies. That might be easy for you to do as you go along, but it might require you to make a dedicated trip. You can do this after you've finished your transects on the same day, or you can go back on another day, whichever suits you. You should only record these mid-transect if it is easy to do so and won't affect your sampling. Recording habitats and colonies, if they're present, is a must, but the next 2 variations are optional. The first is to record mammals. We'd encourage you to record the mammals you see on your BBS square. Using the same analytical methods as for birds, BBS data contributes to species trends of 9 species of mammals, which is pretty remarkable given that BBS was designed as a bird survey. In the same space at the bottom of each sector recording box, you can record counts of live mammals, but also field signs, dead animals, local knowledge, and where you have seen them at other times in your square. If you've decided not to record mammals, then all you need to do is answer the relevant question with no when it comes to entering your data. Another optional extra is to record what we refer to as detection method. Going back to our list of questions from earlier, where we had what, how many and where, we can also ask ourselves, how did I first come by that bird? This is distinct from the question of how did I know, which is to do with identification. For detection, we want to know what first alerted you to the fact that there was actually a bird there in the first place. There are 3 options, visual, call and song, and are denoted by symbols on your field recording sheet, and they're best illustrated with examples. Example 1. A small brown bird appears in front of me and quickly flies into the hedge before I've even had a chance to tell if it was a robin or a dunnock. A second later, it announces itself as a robin by singing. How would you record this? The answer in this instance would be visual. I first encountered the bird by seeing it. The fact that I later identified it by its song is irrelevant. This is detection, not identification. Example 2. You've heard what you think is a garden warbler singing, but you're a little bit rusty and hold fire to see if you can see the bird first. It appears at the end of the branch and it turns out to be a blackcap. What is the detection method here? The answer in this instance is song. This is essentially the opposite of the previous example. To help you better understand detection method, and also to explain a few details as to what counts as songs and what counts as calls, we have a short detection method quiz available to download from the BBS online resources. One thing that is really important to understand is that this is not the same as identification, and is also not the same as recording territorial or breeding behaviour. Whilst the breeding bird survey does have the word breeding in the title, it is really a numbers game. And recording detection type will help us refine the numbers of birds we estimate from this survey. We use the same notations and symbology for convenience. A circle around the 2-letter code for song, as we have for many of our other surveys, especially the Common Bird Census. If you wish to record breeding behaviour and submit this separately as a bird track complete list, then you can do that too. However, we'd advise keeping that separate so that song as a record of breeding behaviour isn't confused with detection type. As we've seen, we might have had a singing bird, but if detection was by some other means, then we don't record the song for the breeding bird survey. BBS volunteers can also take part in the wider countryside butterfly survey. The wider countryside butterfly survey is a subset of the UK Butterfly Monitoring Scheme, one of the longest running monitoring schemes for any taxa in the UK. Unlike the above 3 options, which are done as part of or simultaneously with BBS recording, wider countryside butterfly survey volunteers can complete transect counts on butterflies on their square later on in the year, on the same route, and submit data to another scheme. The requirements have a similar ring to them as for BBS. Volunteers should be able to identify all the butterfly species they're likely to encounter on their square. If butterflies are your thing and you can get out twice a year, once in July and once again in August, for around 90 minutes in the middle of the day in good weather, then the wider countryside butterfly survey is an excellent way to extend your surveying well into the summer.